looks like we're all set. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me. My name is Roger Regan, and I work in data research and accountability. In today's office hours, we're calling College by the Numbers. It's basically a summary of the college enrollment data sources that are available to all of our high schools. And I'll review several of these, and I've extracted some of the numbers to give you an overview of how Wake County school system how their graduates have done in as far as college enrollment and some degree outcomes. So let's get started. Actually, before we get started, I wanted to ask you all a few questions just to get the ball rolling. I'm going to ask a few questions and ask you your best estimate. The first one is, what do you think the percentage of Wake County graduates enrolling in four-year state colleges and universities is? And this could be on, a typical year. Secondly, what do you think the enrollment gap in college enrollment between male and female graduates is? And then the third question for you to think about, what North Carolina college or university enrolls the most Wake County school graduates in a given year? So take a second to think about those two questions, and I'm going to start by addressing those with data that we have available from a variety of sources. Looking at what percent of Wake County graduates enroll in college each year, these data come from the National Student Clearinghouse and are available in reports in FIFO, and I'll show you where in a second. Overall, that all institutions, we enroll approximately 69% of all of our graduates. I don't see the line there.
Advance.
I thought we were going to try and get them to guess in the chat.
Oh, okay. Has anyone guessed?
I was waiting for the guesses to come in.
Oh, okay. I haven't looked at that. So we're going to have three lines here. The percentage of Wake County graduates who have enrolled in all institutions, and then it's broken down by four-year institutions and 2 years. And as you can see from the scale at the axis at the bottom, it goes from 2012 to 2021. So over that time period, actually there hasn't been a lot of change. But what do you think the percent of our graduates enrolling in college each year?
So we have Eric saying 65. Erica said 65%, and Melanie says 75%.
Okay, so actually in between both of those estimates, very good. So this past year, the fall of 2021, 69% of our graduates enrolled in a 2 or 4 year institution, and that was down slightly from a few years ago. The percent that is enrolled in 4-year institutions is 49%, and the percentage that have enrolled in 2-year institutions, primarily Wake Tech Community College, is 19%. So as you can tell from this graph, there hasn't been very much change over the past 10 years in these percentages. And this data, as I mentioned, is available in FIFO. If you look under college enrollment reports, there's district level reports, and there's also reports for each of your high schools. And this is the first graph that you will see in those reports. Our second question is, what is the college enrollment gap between female and male students? So I guess first, which of these groups do you think enrolls in college at a higher rate? And how big a gap do we have? All right, I see 2 people have said more females. Okay, if you've happened to stroll around a college campus lately, you will probably notice there seems to be more women than men. And that is true of our graduates as well. The enrollment rate for female graduates is 73%, and our boys, our young men, 64%. So in 2021, the enrollment gap was 9 percentage points. And this has increased over the past 10 years, a few percentage points. And this carries over to degree completion rates as well.
Good guesses.
Yes, sir. Very good. Okay. And then our last question was which North Carolina college or university enrolls the most Wake County Public School System graduates? Melanie is saying Wake Tech.
4-year state.
A very good guess. And I didn't specify here 4-year or 2-year. So it could be either of those, actually. So all of your reports that are in FIFO also will contain data on where your graduates are attending college. I've extracted from the district level report data for the top 10 colleges, as you'll see here. And we'll start at the bottom. Meredith College last fall enrolled 98% of our graduates, and going up, NCA&T 171, you see Appalachian State, ECU, Chapel Hill. The 4-year college with the most was North Carolina State University. 847 of our students enrolled in NC State last year. However, the number one institution enrolling the most of our students was Wake Tech Community College, 2,079, and that's why they represent, as you saw in the line graph, about 20% of all of our graduates each year. So these 10 institutions actually make up about 75% of total enrollments in college for the class of 21. And this has been true probably for the past few years as well. So this is district-wide. Your particular high school profile could be different, but 75% of our students from the district enrolled at one of these 10 colleges or universities. Very good. Well, thank you for your estimates, and let's move on. This presentation is relatively short. We'll have time for questions at the end. We would like to achieve 3 desired outcomes. The first is, I've mentioned the NSC reports, which stands for National Student Clearinghouse, that we get each year for the district and the high school. They contain 7 years worth of data. And using this report, you will be able to summarize your enrollment from your high school for the past 7 years. The second data source that I'm going to spend a few minutes looking at are the Wake County data dashboards. And these will help you describe trends at your school and compare them to the district. The level of detail is less than what you'll find in the NCS report, but you will be able to find enrollment percentages for the past 5 or so years for every high school in the district, as well as the district level. You'll be able to see persistence rates, which is the percent of students that continue the following year, and then also degree completion rates. And those are good for after 6 years after students enroll. So our most recent class that we have degree completion data on is 2015. The third data source that I'm going to show a few slides on comes from the UNC Systems data dashboard. Some of you may be familiar with this. It's a really pretty amazing dashboard that the UN system of 16 colleges and universities puts together. And you're able to customize this dashboard with data for either the district as a whole or your high school, and find out how many of your students have enrolled, have applied, have been admitted, have enrolled, and how well they've done the first year at the universities that they've attended. So these are the 3 desired outcomes. So the first one, National Student Clearinghouse college enrollment reports that are available in FIFO. We've been receiving these for several years. Now they are available in FIFO, and you get to FIFO through OASIS, and you would select college enrollment reports, and there are 3 reports available for the district and for your high school, and they contain 8 years worth of data. So every year, the new reports, basically they replace the previous years, they're cumulative. And there's an aggregate report that shows the total number of your high school or the district graduates that have enrolled. They also show the number of students who have returned for a second year. That's called the persistence rate. And then it also tracks students up through 6 years, which this data is the window that they use to determine degree completion rates. So as I mentioned, the class of 2015, we have the 6-year data. So you would know what percentage of your students actually earned a degree from a college or university. So that's the aggregate report, okay? The next report is called the demographic report. And as you can tell from the title, this breaks down enrollment data by gender and by race, and also by students with disability status, English language learner. And it shows for each of these subgroups, the enrollment rates, the persistence rates, and also the degree completion rates. So I've extracted from the district level report, the data for the Wake County class of 2015. So the blue bars are the percentage of our graduates that enrolled in college in the fall of 2015, okay? And as you can see, all students, it was 69% of our graduates, okay? And then we have 5 subgroups by race. Asian students, 81% of all Asian graduates enrolled, 57% of Black students, 48% of our Hispanic students, 70% of our multiracial students, and 80% of our white students, okay? And all these data we submit to National Student Clearinghouse. We give them a list of all of our graduates every year, and they use some proprietary algorithms they send to the different colleges and universities, and they're able to match our students with enrollment records. The orange bars here show for our class of 2015, the percent that graduated with a degree in 6 years. So for all students, 53% of the class of 2015 graduated. So that percentage is of our total graduates. Okay, so 69% enrolled, but by 6 years later, 2021, 53% of the total number of graduates to begin with actually earned a degree. And you see for the different subgroups here, the completion rate for Asians, 71%. So, there's gaps, obviously, looking at these bar charts between both the enrollment and the completion rates within each group. The percentages of a particular group graduating with a degree range from 60% to 80%, but these bars are showing of the original number of graduates. So 32% of our Black graduates earned a degree within 6 years, 34% of Hispanics, 65% of white students who graduated in 2015 earned a degree by this past year. Okay. The third report that's available from the National Student Clearinghouse is called the Top 25 Institutions Report. And now this is basically just a spreadsheet. And it will show you for every year, your graduates, the past 8 years, where they attended, where they enrolled, whether they persisted to the second year, and for the class of 2015, whether they earned a degree. So I'm showing here the 10 institutions that enroll a large number, a majority of our students here. And I just wanted to show you for the class of 2015, what percentages of the students, Wake County students that enrolled at those universities actually earned a bachelor's degree within 6 years. So at the bottom of the list, NC Central, 54% of our graduates earned a degree there. that attended there ended up earning a degree. And as you can see, the bars are going up. ECU, 76%, UNC Charlotte, 79%, Appalachian, 81%, Wilmington, 86%, NC State, 89%, and UNC Chapel Hill had the highest graduation rate. 97% of our students that enrolled there in 2015 actually earned a degree. So this is for the district, but this data is available for your high school as well. So you're able to see where your students have been successful in earning degrees. Let's turn now to Wake County's data dashboard, and we're going to put the link in the chat. The data behind these dashboard comes from these National Student Clearinghouse reports, but it allows you, it's just a quick way of comparing your enrollment, persistence, and completion rates with other high schools in our district, as well as the district as a whole. So I have, I've pulled out all of our high schools to show you, and again, this is for the class of 2015 because we do have complete data on their degree completion rates. The scale at the bottom is going to be ascending order in terms of their percentage that is enrolled. So we have in Nightdale in 2015, 45% of its graduates enrolled in college. For the district as a whole, in the middle there, you see that dark blue bar, 69% enrolled. And at the very top, at the end, Green Hope High School, 87% of its graduates enrolled. Second was Wake Early College of Health. And if you don't see a high school on here, a number of our early colleges, it's because we don't have complete data on them yet. They would have had to have a graduating high school class in 2015. So not all of our current high schools are on this list, but this gives you a sense of the range from 45% to 87%. The orange bars, these are the percent of that class that actually graduated with a degree. Okay, in the middle there, you see 53% of our graduates in 2015 actually earned a degree. So about half of our students are earning a degree, which I don't know if that seems high or low to you, but it's been fairly stable. I think it sounds low to me, especially considering 69% actually enter, but you'll see the variation from, school to school. The range again from Nightdale and Garner, 28 to 36% with a degree, all the way up to Wake Early College of Health with 75% to Green Hope. And this could be a degree, an associate's degree from Wake Tech or a bachelor's degree, either of those. Some schools, have a smaller gap than others. Their students seem to, complete a degree or more successful at completing a degree than others. So you can take a look at your own data and see what your trends look like. Okay, the last data source I wanted to introduce to you, if you haven't seen this already, is through the University of North Carolina System website. It's called their interactive data dashboards, and we'll put the link also in the chat here. And I'm going to show you, if you go to their interactive data dashboards, you can choose several categories. This category is admissions and performance or something to that effect. But what I did here was I looked at the number of Wake County students who applied to any UNC system school, and these are the 4-year institutions, the number that were accepted and the number that enrolled. And what I'm doing, I'm looking just specifically at North Carolina State University. Okay, you can customize this for your high school where your graduates applied. You can look at it for all UNC system schools or for a particular one. So I'm looking at all of our district graduates over these 9 years, 10 years, and how many applied to NC State. Okay, so last year, this past fall, 3,784 of our graduates applied to NC State. I mean, that's like 30% of our students who applied to NC State, and that's up significantly over the past decade, from 2,500. Of this number, a little less than half, 1,770, were actually admitted or accepted. That's the admit rate or acceptance rate. I think it's 47%. Okay. However, of those students, only 835 actually applied. So about 47% of those admitted to NC State actually enrolled. The other ones decided to go somewhere else. So this is what universities call the yield rate. They're always trying to get a low acceptance rate and a high yield rate. So you can customize this, as I said, for your high school, and you can look at individual universities to see what the rates are. You can also just look generally for all North Carolina students as well. The next slide I wanted to show you is you can actually see how well your students are performing at UNC system colleges. And there's a dashboard, they call it the average first year GPA. And I'm looking at all of Wake County students, how they did just at NC State University. To give us an idea how well our students doing, this is the first year students at NC State. So overall, their average GPA was 3.2 in 2020. That's the last year we had complete data. In English, their GPA was a little higher, 3.4. And you can see the trend has been fairly stable, mostly a little above 3. In foreign language, it's 3.1, and that trend actually has declined a little bit. For each of these subjects, the number of students that they're averaging is different. I think English and math are probably the highest. So in math, 3.1, natural science, 3.2, social science, a little higher, 3.4, and then other subjects, 3.2. So as a whole, Wake County graduates are performing very well at NC State, looking at this data. And you can take a look at your students to see how well they are doing at NC State or any other UNC system school. So that is a little snapshot of the data that's available on college enrollment. And I'll leave you with a few questions that we can discuss in addition to any you may have, which are, do any of these data surprise you? How could you use these data to set goals for your school? And third, how could you use these data to advise students? And we have the logos here of the 16 UNC system schools on the right. Of course, there are students that go to state schools outside of North Carolina, as well as private schools within and outside. And all of that data is also available through the National Student Clearinghouse reports, although the interactive, the UNC system data obviously only tracks students within these UNC system schools. So that is it for this presentation, and I welcome your questions. Thank you for your attention.
So I'm going to open it up. How could you use these data to advise students? What are some thoughts as you were looking through some of this data? I think we have counselors on the line mostly. Would it be helpful to know what type of students are successful in the various colleges, maybe to help them choose colleges? That's just a thought that I had. Okay, there's a comment about it can help to see what percentages of students are being accepted to schools they're interested in. Good, kind of give them the chances, right? From your school.
You know, I think that the counselors obviously have a lot of rich information to advise students with. These are just kind of numbers, which don't really get into the experience that students have at these schools, or the types of programs are available. And as high school counselors know, there's really lots of resources out there compared to 40 years ago when I went to college. I remember I had to get a book. There was not knowing anything about anything. Now there's almost so much information, it's almost overwhelming. But I think students now can find out a lot more about the colleges that they might be interested in than ever before.
Roger, one of the things I'm looking at is the Wake County dashboard, and I'm looking at one of your slide here that says college enrollment and degree completion.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm finding interesting is that, looking at like Nightdale versus Green Hope, I'm looking at the amount of students that were enrolled versus those actually earned a degree.
Mm-hmm.
So it just made me wonder about, the perseverance or what might be happening, why these students are able to complete a degree within a certain time.
That's right. Yeah, there is a lot of variation, and I'm sure there's a variety of factors at play. In addition to academic preparation, it could be, family finances, and I think the pandemic obviously had a big impact, especially at community college levels for more underrepresented groups. We know that our enrollment declined at Wake Tech. So I'm sure there are a variety of factors.
Okay, keep thinking and talk to each other. And, there may be opportunities to have discussions with folks at other schools that might be doing well, and pick their brains. And now that you've seen some of this data, pick their brains on what they are doing. As Roger said, it's all about, it's not just about the data, it's what's behind the data and the processes behind the data that result in the data. That's the only way to change it, is to understand what happened to get there. So thank you all for joining us. We always appreciate your feedback. If you have any thoughts about upcoming office hour sessions that might be helpful, please take a moment. This is a very short survey, but we do take a look at it. So if you have time, we would appreciate your feedback. And we have our final office hour of the school year will be on May 17th. We'll be talking about interpreting and making use of assessment reports. Those are the EOG, EOC reports we'll all start getting here at the end of the year. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you, Roger and Serena.
You're welcome.
Yes, I will drop the bit.ly in the chat. Will someone, Serena,
Yes,
will you drop
we'll do
the
that.
bit.ly in the
Sure.
chat?
Mm-hmm.
You can take a picture of it, the QR code, with your phone if you want, or the bit.ly is on its way. But we'd love to hear your suggestions and ideas on how to improve our series as we move forward to support schools the best we know.